Question for you. 140, significance of this number in the context of this talk? Anybody like to answer? Okay, a number of characters in a tweet. So you haven't got a lot of room to play with. You have to be very concise when you're on Twitter. You have to get your message across in a short space of time. So there isn't any waffle there. There's no time for that. You have to make it as interesting as possible, and you might be putting in a link as well. Might be a link to a picture, might be a link of a website, and all of that takes up the 140 characters. But that's kind of the strength of Twitter, because if you're absorbing information, if you're listening onto Twitter, using it as a news source or an information source, then even on a phone, you'll get 6 or 7 different tweets from different people. So you get a whole range of information from different sources. So it's not just like reading one large article. The shortness of it is really its success. It would probably seem like a crazy idea when they started it, but 140 characters is key. So what is it? Well, this is Twitter's own definition. If you log out or you visit Twitter for the first time, they say find out what's happening right now with the people and organizations you care about. So there's some key words here. Um, they've First of all, they've pitched this not as something to post your message out, but again, they've pitched it from a listening point of view. They're pitching it to the listeners. They're encouraging people to find out and absorb information here. And what's happening? So news. This is key right now. Twitter, compared with other information sources and indeed other types of marketing, is instant. You could put out a tweet now about the fact that you're at this conference, and somebody in Hong Kong, somebody in Venezuela, and somebody in London could all read that in literally no time at all, just exactly the same time as you tweet it. So enormously powerful, the instantaneous effect. And in business terms, that's significant because if you're getting out information that's time sensitive, then you can do that. Let's say, for example, you're promoting an event, then an alternative might be a glossy leaflet or a poster. So you have to get that poster or leaflet designed, you have to get that printed, and then you have to get that distributed. Probably minimum 4 or 5 days there. Twitter, a couple of seconds. So it is immediate and right now. Twitter are teeing up the service for people like yourselves, for clinics. It's not just about celebrities and people, it's about organizations. So make your clinics organizations that people do care about. So just some sort of terms. I know several people are on Twitter, but I'll try and add a bit of value even if you are on Twitter. So retweet, such a fundamental term now that the term actually entered the Oxford English Dictionary last year. So I've used their definition, and they talk about reposting and forwarding. So what a retweet is, it basically it's the action of forwarding somebody else's tweet onto your own audience, and it's the mechanism of how information and tweets go viral across Twitter. So you're on Twitter and you see something very interesting or very newsworthy, you retweet that and you pass that on to your audience, onto your followers. So what you want to try and do is, I would say, every tweet, apart from perhaps your conversational tweets, every tweet you want to try and aim for a retweet, because you want to try and get as much exposure right the way across Twitter as you can, as much people reading that as possible. There are different ways to retweet. You can just hit the button on Twitter, which is probably the easiest way to do it, or you can manually retweet. You can just put in the letters RT space and then at symbol and then the person's username and then copy and paste the tweet in there. If you do it manually, then that gives the advantage of adding in a word or a hashtag or putting it into context. So retweets. Hashtags are kind of getting more important all the time. What hashtags do is that they center conversation on Twitter around a particular topic or around a subject or a theme, and they're also great for promoting events. So if you click on a hashtag, hashtags are hyperlinked, so you immediately get the full conversation on Twitter relating to that particular topic. So it can be really, really useful to follow a particular trend or subject. And so, for example, IVF, infertility, pregnancy are tweets that are hashtags that are regularly in use. There are conversations happening around those subjects right now, this morning on Twitter. So wouldn't it make sense if you were part of that conversation, even if you were just listening to it? In terms of events, one or two people here are using the hashtag IVF Live. Hashtag IVF Worldwide is also being used. And so this helps people in this room communicate with one another and talk about the subjects and discussions that are happening during the course of the event. So hashtags very good for promoting events and for following a particular subject. Also, Twitter changes all the time, and there's kind of a new thing with hashtags coming in terms of using them for emphasis or for humor, and this is kind of a developing thing. So that's one to watch out for there. They are probably being driven into the mainstream, and certainly helping to drive Twitter into the mainstream, because films and TV programs are now using hashtags to encourage viewers to communicate. Sky News in the UK, BBC News, all use hashtags regularly to try and encourage viewers to join in with the conversation and to ask presenters questions. So the TV, like we said earlier, not possible to have the communication with the TV only, but you combine TV and Twitter, and you can have an active conversation between the viewers and the broadcasters, and of course the viewers can talk amongst themselves as well. And this is going to be a continuing theme with hashtags. So a few tools for you to perhaps check out. TweetDeck. If you are tweeting seriously for your clinic, then I would suggest you look at TweetDeck or a tool called Hootsuite. They've both got their sort of like pros and cons. TweetDeck's available at tweetdeck.com. There's a web version and there's also a downloadable version. The main thing about TweetDeck is that it's all about columns, so you can monitor key terms relating to, similar to the hashtag, you can actually monitor hashtags if you want to. So you can monitor terms like fertility, infertility, pregnancy, and you can set up a column for each of those terms. And you can also post out to Twitter as well. So it's a more powerful tool, if you like. It's like a souped up version of Twitter.com, and it's owned by Twitter, and it's free. Bitly is a handy tool. It basically enables you to shorten links, because you're restricted with the 140 characters. You don't want your links to take up too much space. So if you go to bitly.com and sort out an account there, that can help you not only shorten links, but also it gives you metrics, it gives you measurements. So you can find out if you've got an objective of driving traffic to your website, for example, then you can figure out how much value you're getting from Twitter, because you can measure how many people are clicking on those links on Twitter and on Facebook and coming to your website. So Bitly. Buffer is available at bufferapp.com. It's a scheduling tool. So if you are one of these people where you like to get everything sorted early in the day, then you could set up your tweets over half an hour in the morning, and then those would then go out at a preset pattern during the course of the day for even the following day. So scheduled tweets at bufferapp.com. This one is chargeable. I've got no relationship with the company, but it's a $10 a month subscription. But it's a very useful tool. Advanced Twitter search is what I call Twitter's best kept secret. For some reason, they don't really make a big deal of it, but it's actually a really, really valuable part of Twitter. You can find it on mainstream Twitter if you just go and do an ordinary search and then hit the settings icon on the right-hand side, it drops down to advanced search. The address is a bit complex. If you'd like the address of advanced Twitter search to access it directly, let me know and I'll let you have the address. Likewise, I'll let you have the slide deck if you like it. But what advanced Twitter search does, it provides you with filters. Probably the most crucial filter is that it provides a location filter. So if you want to search within so many miles of your clinic for certain key terms, then you can do that. Most searches around Twitter are global, so you can't filter those. But the advanced Twitter search, it gives you filter by location, plus some other great filters as well. Twilert is a very useful tool. Again, it's keywords and it works by email. So you can set up keywords relating to your business, and again, you can relate to your clinic and your services. You can tie that into location, and then you can be emailed with the results once a day or several times a day. I think it might actually be the tool that Yesh is looking for, because he said yesterday that the Google version of this kind of thing no longer worked. But Twilert works, and it's free, and it's available at twilert.com. So just look at a couple of Twitter examples. Manchester Fertility again, and reproductive biology. The important thing when you're filling out your Twitter profile is to make sure that everything is completed. Kind of sounds quite straightforward, but it's amazing how many people leave gaps. So do make sure that you have your Twitter name there, your account name, a description of your business there. That's quite a nice description because it's informal. It says what the clinic is about, and it also crucially says who does the tweets. And I quite like that. It's a good point. And they've put in the location and they've put in the website. This one's a little bit shorter, but again, very positive, and all the information's in there. And also both have got completed profile pictures there. A couple of tweets. Very nice link into a service that they run on their website from the first one. They're basically providing value to their patients because they're doing an Ask the Doctor kind of service, and they're promoting that, Ask Our Professor as they put it, they're promoting that over Twitter. Nice use of Twitter, and also I like the way that they've kind of encouraging questions, but starting off by a question. Questions are good on social media. Questions encourage response, and so quite a nice tweet there. Example here of something that they're proud of doing, reproductive biology, RBA clinic, and example of a hashtag here using the infertility hashtag. So if you click this, then you'd basically go off and get the current conversations that were happening around infertility. Interesting thing with Twitter, if you're a little bit scared of it, you don't even have to sign up. You can do all this hashtag business and reading people's tweets, even searches, without even being registered on Twitter. And I know some people that follow the news and they haven't even signed up to Twitter. So if you're a little bit scared, or you just want to dip your toes in the water and see whether it's any value, then just go to twitter.com and see what you find. You might find it useful. So there's a test coming up. So get ready. It's just a simple question. I just want a yes or a no answer to this. So if you can just sort of shout out yes or no. The correct answer is no. Definitely not how you use Twitter. So it's not about shouting at people. It's not about broadcasting, and it's not about megaphones. It's about listening. So top Twitter tip. You get messages on Twitter and you get mentioned. That's when people use your account name. So a message is when people are talking to you, and a mention is when they're talking about you. So it's important to reply to all of those to show that you are listening, and you'll probably be getting questions which are important to answer. And it's also quite important to do this quickly, people's expectations on Twitter now are that questions are replied to same day, and even within a few hours is generally the what people are expecting. So just come back to this picture. Pictures can be quite powerful as this one is. So I think that's the first thing that it shows us. The power of the visual, the power of photographs. It's also interesting because this picture, it's basically from it's marketing material for Nightmare's Haunted House at Niagara Falls, and what they're doing here, which I like, is that they're using their audience for their marketing. So and if you think about it, what else would they do? A haunted house is dark, so would they show a picture of a dark room? Probably not very exciting, but this is a high impact picture. They're using their audience. So, and that's what social media is all about. Thinking about how you're going to use your audience to do your marketing. Get them on side, get them engaged, and they will use social media to market on your behalf. So, just finally. So top social media tip, which applies across all channels, is to ask questions. Why? Because it generates conversation, and social media is about conversation. So ask a question, post something on Facebook, ask a question on Twitter, and those kind of posts always tend to get more response than just a bare sort of statement of a fact or a tip, because they bring people in, they engage people, and they start conversations. So thank you very much. Happy to take questions if anyone has any questions.